You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Matt Migaki, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians. We talk all about their lives and music while sharing killer craft beers. If you've ever wanted to sneak backstage and share a beer with one of your favorite musicians, well, Vox and Hops is the podcast for you. This week on the podcast, I dropped a killer episode with Johannes Ekström of Avatar. There is this episode and over 440 other ones to help you enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. So what are you waiting for? It's time to become a Vox and Hops head. Cheers!
Hey, yo, what's going on, everybody? I'm glad you're here and listening in, because I have some things to tell you about, one of which is going to be Sinusoid custom guitar cables. I mean, come on. These guys are fantastic. They've been supporting the show for a while. You guys know about them. And if you haven't checked out their custom cable builder yet, I don't even know what to say. Why have you not checked out the custom cable builder? That is where you can make your dreams come true. I know you've thought before, like maybe you want like a silent plug type of thing, so you can just unplug and not have to worry about all kinds of... Or maybe you're wanting to try a different kind of tech flex, because, you know, you can get all kinds of different colors. Whatever the case may be, angled plugs, different cable types. They got different brands of cable you can put in there. You got to check out their custom cable builder, and if you have not yet, please do it. It will be a wonderful thing for your rig. So check it out at sinusoid.com. I also need to tell you about the legendary company Keeley Electronics. Keeley Electronics out of Oklahoma. Rob and the gang have been in the business for a very long time, and they've been making some of the coolest pedals on the market. I hear they got some crazy NAMM releases scheduled. Nothing confirmed yet, but obviously, you know how NAMM is. We could see some insanity coming out of the Keeley camp. But all that to say, if you need to stay tuned in on all things Keeley, check them out on all the socials. Go to KeeleyElectronics.com and make sure you scope out all their offerings. They've got some, quite honestly, some legendary pedals at this point. Rob and the crew over there are fantastic, and they're doing and have been doing great things in this industry for a very long time. So make sure you check them out at rkfx.com. And finally, I absolutely must talk to you about Gun Street Wiring Shop. Out of Bend, Oregon, they are making custom wiring harnesses for all of your guitar needs. You got a little switch, maybe it's going out, you're trying to like select a pickup and it's like not quite going it right. You got a pot, you roll it and it goes and scratches on you. You don't want that. That's nonsense. Why would you want that? Nobody does. So you can go to gunstreetwiringshop.com and get the custom harness of your dreams. Maybe you can unlock some new tonal potential out of an old guitar by redoing the wiring. You can find frequencies that were never there before. They got you set up, and they are the best in the business, and Sean and the team over there will get you completely fixed up in exactly the way that you need. And as I've said on many prior episodes, if I can put it in a guitar, I about guarantee anybody can put it in a guitar, because I have extremely limited depth perception, and even I could work that soldering iron enough to get it successfully installed. And if you have any trouble, they will help you out the whole time. They have awesome customer support, awesome products, awesome warranties. I mean, come on. They got the whole package. So make sure you check out gunstreetwiringshop.com. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the ToneMob.com podcast, the show about guitar tone and the people behind it. I'm your host, Blake Weiland, and with me today, I have Jay Cross from the Guitar Nerds podcast. What's going on?
Hi, Blake. I'm good, thanks, man. How are you?
I'm splendid. We're just going to pretend that we didn't talk for an hour and a half already.
Okay, here's the thing: is every time I listen to the Tone Mob podcast, there is a section like this at the start, and I was determined not to fall into that trap. I was like, no, we're going to do it. It's going to be fine. We're going to. It's impossible. You can't do it. You can't then pretend that you haven't been speaking for an hour and a half, because that's what we've been doing, and it's been very nice.
I say it every time. I actually got some comments recently. They're like, you ask the same questions every time. I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, that I'm talking to a different person every time.
Got to stick to the script, man. Got to stick to the. I've got a formula. It works. I'm sticking with it. That's what it comes down to.
Kind of. It's that plus like I mean, it's like if I'm talking to somebody I've never talked to before on the podcast, and I want to know the same stuff because their story is going to be different than the last guy. Like,
totally.
I don't know. I thought that was a weird criticism. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that you're not entitled to your opinion, sir, whoever you were, because I don't know his actual name. But it's just like I'm just like I don't. Well, I'll try. I mean, I'll do better, I suppose.
I'm just gonna ask the same questions, but with a bit more panache. That's yes. that's what I think you should start doing. Just just changing the tone that you give me those questions, but in like a different key. Let's just stick with some. What you need to do is you need to get a set of those Brian Eno cards. What are they called? I'm just looking at the oblique strategies. Do you know about this? The oblique strategies cards?
No.
So Brian Eno, in like the 70s, he came up with a deck of cards, which he called oblique strategies, which are a set of tools that are supposed to help you when you are struggling with songwriting. And it's like a set of tips and hints and stuff. And they say stuff like, what does this one say? Go outside, shut the door. And let me find another one for you. Trust in the you of now. And then another one that says, is it finished? So it's just like all these like little kind of ambiguous questions that you ask yourself when you're writing a song that is supposed to help you make decisions on what you're doing. So I feel like get a set of those, and then every time you're about to ask a question, pick one up and have a little read of it. And is it maybe not that one, because that one says, "Is it finished?" And this might be a really short podcast if you lead off with that
one. I'm thinking actually I've never heard of this before, but it's actually kind of fascinating because I am like finally back in. Not as aggressive as I'd like to be, but I'm finally back in songwriting mode, which I haven't been for several years. And so it's like things are starting to flow a little bit, but I'm still not as comfortable as I was when I was like when we wrote our album, which at this point is old, which is weird to think about because it doesn't feel like that long ago. Like I was in the zone, like we were, Leon and I, Pelican Noiseworks, Leon, for everyone who doesn't know that, we were like both kind of in it. And like we wrote the whole thing mostly in a year, like for the most part. Well, we worked on stuff with the band, but the actual most of the songs were written in about a year, at least the bones of them, and and it felt good. It was like a good creative time, at least for me, and apparently it was for him too because he did some good ones. And so I want to get back to that, and it's almost hard to recreate. Like part of it was like we made a deadline for ourselves. We were all taking time off work. We were like, we're going to record our album on this date, so we need to have this many songs ready. Yeah,
it needs to be ready. Yeah, for sure. And I think when you're spending that much time with someone, the energy just like bounces off of you, and it's just it's the same as anything. I think it's really interesting. People think that songwriting is just is like a gift that you either have or you do not, and it's just the same as any craft. It's something you work on, and it's something that you get better at the more that you try. And sure, you may be like, oh yeah, no, I've just bashed out a few chords and that sounds great. It's like, well, yeah, sure, but you've probably been playing those. It's why a band's first record is usually their best, because they've had their entire lives to write that record. Do you know what I mean? Like there are bits and pieces that they've had rocking in their heads for 10 years, and they finally put fingers to fingerboard and actualized it. So it's but the more time you spend doing it, the better it is, and the easier it becomes, which is why I find it so difficult, because I never get into a rhythm of doing anything. Like I started a band a couple of years ago with a couple of friends of mine, and we got like really into it, and we were playing loads and like just practicing loads, and we wrote a bunch of songs, and they were like, fine. And then all of a sudden I started a new job and I couldn't practice for ages. And then one of the other guys started a new job and he couldn't practice for ages. And then the drummer, he like went off on a European tour, so he wasn't around for ages. And then it's just difficult to get back into the habit of doing things. So I think it like with everything, being in a band is a lot of work, and you've got to put the energy into it, and you only do it if it feels right.
That's true. I think that's going to be a big like that's actually like, I guess this is fairly applicable because this is one of the first episodes in 2019. It certainly will be coming out in January. It's kind of fitting for the new year, I suppose, because like I since I failed last year's New Gear's resolution, I totally failed it. Which was I was going to put together an actual pedal board.
Okay. And what, as opposed to just leaving stuff just dotted around the shred shed? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I got one mocked up. I had it there, like sitting there, and I was like, okay, this is what it's going to be, and I'm going to wire it up, and it's going to be great. And then I slowly just, I need that. I'm messing with this combo of pedals. Ooh, I'd really like that. And I'd go rip one off the board. And then pretty soon there's nothing left on the board anymore. And that dream was abandoned. All that to say, we're talking about moving the drummer's drum set over here and like getting more set up permanently to like, so it's not such a big deal, to practice.
Yeah.
Like, hey, just pop on over and we'll practice for a bit.
Yeah, totally. It's always such a nose when there's, you've got to get somewhere and you've got to set up the kit, and you've got to mic everything up or set up the PA. And so if you've just got everything there ready to go, I think life just seems a lot more natural. The drummer can come round and you can have a cup of coffee or whatever, and then just roll straight into it. And it's just, there's no stress. I think that's important, is trying to keep these environments stress free as much as you can.
Yeah, that's a good point. I should organize. That would be handy. Instead of just having pedals sitting on every available surface, I should probably condense them and put them where they go. That's interesting
concept
that you have. It's almost like they have a storage thing for this. But I'm sure that most of my listeners are familiar, to kind of segue things here. I'm sure that most of my listeners are familiar with Guitar Nerds, and probably therefore you yourself. But maybe some of them aren't. So maybe you want to give a little backstory. I know this backstory has been told a couple times because you're the final nerd.
I am, yeah.
The final nerd I needed to collect. Gotta catch them all.
Absolutely, gotta catch them all.
And so maybe you want to kind of give your own personal kind of story on how it happened. And, you actually have an interesting role in your day job too. So you can kind of tell everybody about all that.
Yeah, sure. So Guitar Nerds is a project that had been bubbling under the surface for a long time. No, it isn't at all. It came out of nowhere, to be honest with you. All four of us used to work at the same guitar store. We used to work at the shop GAC in Brighton in the UK on the south coast. And one day, kind of out of nowhere, Mark Packham, who's one of the other Guitar Nerds, he said, "Shall we do a podcast? I really want to do it. I've been listening to a lot of gaming podcasts, and there kind of isn't anything like that in the guitar world, or at least nothing that we were aware of at the time." So the four of us, which was Matt Knight, who was the manager of GAC at the time, myself, who was the assistant manager, Mark, who was the marketing manager, and Joe, who I don't really know how Joe got involved. I think he was just staying late at the shop, and we were just like, "Okay, mate, sit down. Let's just." Yeah, you can just get involved, I suppose. But yeah, we exactly, look at him now.
Look at him now.
Well, actually not. Funnily enough, as this will air out, but yeah, we'd been friends for a long time. Myself and Mark, especially, we've known each other for I don't know, over 15 years. We were when I first met Mark, he was working at GAC. He started working there when he was like 15 or something, and I bought I bought my second guitar from him, and a bunch of other guitars I bought off of him. But we knew each other from playing in bands and going to shows and stuff together. But so that actually is quite interesting in that I got a job at GAC because I finished at university. I went to the University of Sussex, which is a university in Brighton, and I did a degree. My degree is actually in economics, and I finished my degree, and I just was like, I need a job, any job, because I have to pay rent for this house that I'm living in. And Mark said, well, look, we've got a gig going at the guitar shop. Do you want to come and apply for that? So I did. And that's where I met Matt, because he was working at the shop at the time. He wasn't manager quite yet, but I met him. And actually, this is something that I don't know if I've ever said before, but when I first met Matt, I did not think he liked me. I thought he was like really short with me. And I got this vibe where he was just, oh man, this guy's cool, but I don't think he likes me, and I don't really know why. And it was really weird. And then
oh no way,
a week passed or whatever, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh no, this is one of the greatest human beings I've ever met. Everything is fantastic. And it was just, yeah. Oh, he's absolutely incredible.
He's like one of the sweetest.
I don't think there's anyone. I
planet.
I don't think there's anyone in the UK who knows more about guitar pedals than Matty. He is, and I've said that for nearly 10 years. I think he has always been on the cusp of knowing about stuff and trying stuff, and he's amazing. And he's one of my best friends. So that's great. And then Joe joined the shop after I'd been working there for, I guess, maybe 2 or 3 years. And yeah, we hit it off really well. And anyway, the four of us started the GAC podcast, and then Mark left, and then Matt left, and then I left as well shortly after. And around that time, we said, okay, well, look, none of us work here anymore. Shall we just do our own thing? So we started Guitar Nerds, and where are we? 3, 4, 5 years? 5 years later. No, we started the GAC podcast in 2013. I think 2013. Yeah, that sounds right. We started the GAC podcast in 2013, and then Guitar Nerds, I guess, in 2015, and now it's 2019. Believe it or not, and we're still going. About to hit episode 200. So it's really weird. It's really cool. I find it very therapeutic. Which is maybe a weird thing to say, but it's just this opportunity for me and 3 of my best friends to sit down and talk about something that we really love for an hour. And honestly, and we talked a little bit about this before we were recording, Blake, but like, honestly, even if nobody listened, we'd still be doing it. And I'm sure you feel exactly the same way. It's this point in my week, which I really look forward to. And it's really nice that people care about it. I find it bonkers that people care about it, but people do. And it's really exciting, and it's really lovely that anybody cares. Anybody can put up with listening to these weird frequencies that come out of my mouth and into your ears. So yeah, I guess that's the story of Guitar Nerds, kind of. I mean, it progresses throughout the years. I mean, as we moved on, Matt ended up going to work for Boss, and he's doing really well there. And then I now work for Fender, which is fantastic. I have a great job that I love, and Mark is off working for Reverb, and Joe is just about to take a step into the big wide world of the freelancer, much like yourself, Blake. Taking a deep breath and free diving into the world of pedals and cables and valves and strings and everything. And it's really exciting to see. It's really funny to see us kind of move into these weird parts of the industry that we never really thought we would get to. And And it's kind of because of the podcast, I guess, to a certain degree. So it's that's I guess where we are. I guess it's yeah.
I can relate to that like so much because the podcast is it's like the anchor point for everyone. Like a lot of people, the question I get a lot because it is a bit hard to understand. I totally get it. People are like, well, what do you do? Like you like the podcast. It was like the podcast is crucial because it's like the anchor point. That's where everybody knows me from.
Yeah.
But it's not like that's not the main moneymaker. It supports itself.
No. That's your modeling career.
That's right. How did you know?
Yeah. I hacked your emails. I'm afraid, mate. I've been yeah. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have admitted it on air, but unfortunately, ToneMob 666 as a password. Come on, man. You needed to do that.
I should have thought that through. I mean, Blake 1234 is the actual password, but I don't know why. I don't know why I didn't make it more secure than that. You're not going to distribute those photos, are you? Those were unaltered. My face is still...
as long as you stick with the deal that we talked about before we went on air, everything's fine. You know that.
Okay, Fender is the best and the only guitar that you should buy. And if you have any other products that are made by any other companies, you throw them in the trash and buy Fender.
Yeah, that's right. That is right. That's correct.
He said as he stares at his Les Paul Custom.
I mean, that's fine. I've got a Les Paul Junior. I love it. It's amazing. So speaking of, I'm kind of on the lookout for a Les Paul Standard. I had an amazing Les Paul Standard that I bought. I got a really good deal on this, really, really good, and it was great. It was absolutely fantastic. 2005 Les Paul Standard. I wasn't a huge fan of the 2008 spec, the spec that ran from 2008 to 2012, but the spec before that, the standard before that was I had one of those, and it was wicked. It was like plain top, not something that you see very, very regularly, and it'd been well gigged. And I ended up selling it because I had an opportunity to buy a 2013 Les Paul Traditional, which I still think is the best modern Les Paul that they've done. It's just I didn't get on with the one that I had. I think the spec is good, and I still stand behind that guitar, but the one that I had wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, and so I ended up selling my Standard to buy this Traditional, which I ended up not keeping, and that always feels like the one that got away, that Standard. So now I've ever since then I've been a lot more cautious about whether to let stuff go. And therefore I'm kind of sat with a bunch of guitars that I don't play very regularly because I don't want to, I don't want to have that FOMO later on in life.
Man, I can relate. Be careful. You'll become me, and you'll have to add on to your place in order to store your habits. It's so insane. If I really think about it, I'm like, that is ridiculous. It is ridiculous that I. Well,
the fact that you had to build another house for all your stuff,
right?
Yeah,
that's super dumb.
Well,
that makes no logical sense.
I mean, yeah, it is. It is, but I'm only jealous because I don't have the opportunity to do it as well. I live just outside of. I live in the suburbs of Brighton, and I live on the. I live kind of in a converted house, so I've got the top two stories of this house, and someone else lives below me, so I've got no outdoor space with which to create a house for the stuff that I like. So I'm just jealous, man, and I know that anybody who says otherwise is a liar. So what you've got, that's fantastic. You don't have to apologize about that to anybody.
I mean, people have asked me a lot, and I've probably said this on the podcast multiple times, like, what is your favorite piece of gear you own? And I'm like, the shed itself, honestly. Like, it sounds ridiculous, but like, I can go out and turn up in the middle of the night and just rock out whenever I want.
I hate to break it to
and
you,
it
but
doesn't
it
bother
doesn't
anybody.
sound like you're actually into guitars. It sounds like you're into infrastructure. So maybe maybe you need to start curating a new career in civil engineering or something. Like, have you ever built a road? Maybe you'd be into it, man. Like, go and work out how to build a bridge. I believe in you. I think you can do it.
I don't want to. I don't want to be responsible for it when it collapses. Everyone's like, "Who did it?" And it's like, that guy over there, the guy with all the guitars. He's the one who.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Too much responsibility for me, man. So I wanted to get you on, mostly just because I love the melodious sound of your voice, but also because you have a very unique viewpoint on the industry that I don't think a lot of people do. Working for Fender in the role that you're in, as we talked about, like I really wish we would have hit record on some of our earlier conversations. So I'm going to revisit some of that. But we were talking about the ridiculous notion that keeps popping up every 6 months or something. Some news publication will say that guitar is dead. And obviously we have our own viewpoint on that. And I wonder if you could share any of that stuff that you shared with me, or at least give me your perspective on it. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I think it is interesting that there is this notion that guitar music is dead. It certainly isn't the case as far as I can tell, it certainly isn't the case. I mean, I know that I know how many guitars Fender sells every year, and I know that it's a number that is going up. You know, it's not the industry isn't shrinking, for sure. More people than ever are playing guitars, and in fact, it's something that Fender has been really spearheading, I think, with like Fender Play, and they've been the Andy Mooney, the CEO, has been very open about this. You know, he's trying to the point of Fender Play is to try and get more people to play guitar and to try and get more people to stick with playing guitar, because it's something like 90% of the people who buy guitars who buy their first guitar give up within the first 6 months. And so trying to change that habit, I think, is huge. But no, the guitar industry certainly isn't dying. Guitar music isn't dying, but I think the way that people digest that music is changing, and it's exactly the same as in the 80s when everyone said guitars are dead because everyone's playing synths. It's like, well, no, it's just there's different stuff going on. And I think with the rise of home recording it has been huge, not just for the guitar industry, but for people who are wanting to create music that perhaps you would have needed a big record deal to do, 10, 15 years ago. I mean, I don't know how big how big grime is in the US. I'm not sure if it's a big thing. Grime music is kind of like a new kind of style of British hip hop, I guess, to a certain degree. It's not something that I would ever consider myself a spokesperson for. But grime is the new punk rock as far as I'm concerned, and it's underground, and it is disenfranchised people are making this music, and they are making this music with very low budgets. And it's just, that's what's grabbed the headlines, is people are making a different style of music. And yet, we probably won't see a band like a band like the Foo Fighters, or a band like Nirvana, or other bands that Dave Grohl has not been in, who I'm sure exist. We don't have any huge rock bands out there at the moment, but that doesn't mean that people aren't playing guitar. We talked briefly about my kind of view on what people are doing with guitar before recording, and I mean, I kind of think that people are playing guitar less because they see themselves as a rock star in the future, or they see playing music as their career, but more for kind of self-actualization. I think people are playing guitar and learning guitar for the same reasons that they maybe learnt a language 10 years ago. People want to have a skill, and that skill doesn't necessarily need to be something that earns you money. It's just something that makes you feel good about yourself. And I think that's what's going on. People are realizing that you can play guitar without wanting to go out and play guitar in front of other people. And I think that's something that the industry, and I, speaking from a Fender perspective, I think the marketing team at Fender have done really well is marketing to a different type of people. And the Fender acoustic guitars, I think, have been really popular with people who traditionally wouldn't have bought guitars, because it's like, look, this is a lifestyle thing. This is something that you can have in your home, and it is cool and it's fun. So the guitar industry isn't dead. Guitar music's not going away. The people who say guitar music is dead are people who don't want to listen to people like us, Blake. That's what it is, mate. And unfortunately, we're going to be around, whether you like it or not, whether you listen or not. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep talking about this stuff. So no, I always roll my. People are entitled to their opinion, of course, but I always roll my eyes when I hear people say, "Oh, the guitar industry's dead." "Oh, the Gibson have gone bankrupt." "Oh, this." Well, who's next? It's like, well, I mean, Gibson are still going to carry on making Les Pauls, aren't they? They're not going to disappear. It's the other side of their business, which is going to disappear. The guitars are a really buoyant part of their turnover, and I think it's. I think it's really funny when people say that guitar is dead, and I don't know. What are your thoughts on it? How do you see things? Do you see any changes in the industry over the next 5 years? What do you think about it?
Definitely. I have a viewpoint. I think I've expressed it before on the show. I think that people who say the guitar is dead and they cite like Gibson's situation, they're not looking at the big picture. Gibson's
of course.
Guitar sales were fine. It was the other
absolutely
they did that didn't work out very well for them.
Yeah.
Their guitar sales were not a problem.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I mean, we don't want to speak about the disaster that was Gibson 2015 lineup, but that's a different story entirely. That's old news.
I tell you what, when I was working, because I was working at GAC at that time, I was working in the shop. I was on the shop floor. In fact, was I the manager when those guitars came out? No, I think I was the assistant manager at the time when those guitars came out, and it was a tough sell. It was a tough sell to say to people that you couldn't buy a Les Paul without the robot tuners. That was a hard 6 months, let me tell you. It was a hard 6 months of work, but
by the way, they're 30% more.
Yeah, for real, completely. But these things happen. Things change, and then the 2016s came out, and it was like new Coke. It was the guitar sales are fine. The guitar industry is not going anywhere, thankfully, because it's, as you say, it's what employs me. So I, both in my interests and in my actual real life day job, I rely on the industry, and it's everything's fine, everything's great. It's sensationalism and it's clickbait headlines. That's what people want.
That's what it is. And so there's a couple other factors. I'm like, okay, so the guitar sales at those guys are actually okay if you really look at it. And then there's like, oh, what about Guitar Center? I'm like, well, okay, when's the last time you've been to a Guitar Center? It's not a great experience. Like, it's
right.
Everyone has gone. Talk to anyone that is even sort of serious about guitars. They're like, Guitar Center is not that fun. You go there out of necessity.
Right.
For fun, you go to the really rad mom and pop shop. Like, that's what you do. Like, that's where the cool stuff is, and that's where you're.
It's really interesting. It's really interesting because like the there isn't a Guitar Center over here in Europe. Actually, there's not one company that has that many premises, because there's like 200 Guitar Centers in the US.
I don't even know,
something like that.
I think there might have even been more at one point, but that seems sort of accurate.
Yeah, I mean, I've no idea. I mean, I've been in a couple in my trips, but I haven't really experienced it. I've never bought anything there, so I mean, I don't know. But it's a very different culture from the US, from the Americas to Europe, because there's obviously a couple of fairly big players, but there's nothing the size of Guitar Center, and there is a lot more kind of individualism, I think, with the stores. There are a handful of chains, that maybe have 10 shops each. There's a couple in the UK, and there's maybe one in Eastern Europe that's got a handful of shops. A couple in Eastern Europe that've got a handful of shops, but by and large, a lot of these places are independents. And so you go anywhere in Europe and you go to a guitar shop, and the stuff that you'll find is all over the place. It's a great industry to work in. It really is. It's very exciting.
Yeah, and I think where I was going with it, at least around here, like people who like the serious musicians, they will go to Guitar Center because it's open till 9 o'clock, and I need.
Oh wow, really?
Wow. Yeah. I need a pack of strings. I need it right now. Okay, Guitar Center's open. I'll run over there. But like it's like, ooh, hey guys, like my friends, I'm like, hey, let's go to Old Town, which is our cool hip shop around here, which is just the raddest place. It's exciting to go to. And so I think that a lot of people they're doing great. I mean, they're selling plenty of guitars and guitar stuff at that shop. And so what I see is, and then, you got to think there's all these little companies, all these small pedal companies, all these smaller entities, all selling just in the companies that I work for, that accounts for a good chunk of sales that's not being reported to anybody because they're small private companies. And so it's like that there's a huge amount of, and then, that's just who I work for. That doesn't count the hundreds of other small companies that don't report anything to anybody other than the government, So like, how would this publication know that they don't know how many guitars that, Doug Cower sold? They don't know.
No,
like,
no, not at all. Not at all.
And so, and the same goes for any of the smaller builders. They have no idea how many, there are hundreds of builders there are selling products, and, no one's reporting it to anybody. So how would that journalist even have a clue?
Totally. And like I say, I think a lot of it is it's that idea of kind of light and dark. It's sensationalism. That's what gets clicks, and that's fine. That's everybody's got a living to earn, and also I think as much as anything that article that we all refer to as that article, I think if anything, it probably did the industry a load of good, because people started saying, "Whoa, hang on a sec, I love guitar. I play guitar all the time. In fact, I'm going to go and buy some new guitar strings right now." I think that's probably what happened. I don't think it's I don't think it's anything that anybody really needs to worry about. We're on a good track, and the stuff that's coming out from everyone, from all levels of the industry is exciting. And I think it's a really good time. It's a really exciting time to be into guitar stuff. I think back to when I started working at the guitar shop, and kind of the most exciting things that we had in terms of effect. So when I first started working at GAC, the pedal brands that we had were Boss, Electro Harmonix, MXR, Line 6. And then we also sold the Proco Rat and the Seymour Duncan pickup booster, and like that was it. That was your choice when it came to pedals. And you go into a guitar shop now, and just honestly, the stuff that's coming out, and it's not just pedals. You look at the weird and wonderful amps that are coming out now, and it's like, if you want like kind of 80s revivalist stuff, you can get that. If you want 100-watt heads that were too loud in the 60s, you can get them. If you want something small that you can use in your bedroom, you can get that. The stuff that's coming out at the moment is just astonishing from everyone. It's and that's what keeps certainly what keeps guitar nerds with stuff to talk about. And I know it's exactly the same for you. And the caliber of people that I feel bad sullying the caliber of people that you've had come onto the show in 2019, man. I'm really sorry. Like it's exciting, like seeing what's going on with the Tone Mob. It's I don't know if you've looked recently, Blake, but you've got some Instagram following. Let me tell you.
There's a few people on there. There's a few. it's I think that's another thing. Like just like I'm just a guy with his phone
Totally.
sharing things that I think are interesting.
Yeah.
And people respond to that.
Yeah.
Obviously there's a few people that find that interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just another weird thing that I always think about, not to keep harping on the same subject for too long, but they never seem to cite in those type of articles or that type of sensationalism is string companies.
Yeah.
D'Addario has, well, a lot of people don't realize this. D'Addario is huge, and I don't know if I say that right, by the way. So sorry.
Yeah, I kind of mix it. I don't know. I've said D'Addario. I've said D'Addario. I mix it up depending on how I feel. I think D'Addario is right.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't realize they have 1,000 employees. They are a big company.
What?
Like
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, they, it's not all strings. They have a lot of course, stuff they do.
Well, because they bought Planet Waves a couple, maybe 5 years ago as well. So that's, and I think they rebranded all of their, like, I think the strings are D'Addario and everything else is now Planet Waves. Maybe I'm not sure.
I feel like they got it. I don't know, but they all, they have drum heads. They have all kinds of stuff. But
oh really?
Yeah, Remo. They own Remo.
Oh, they're Remo. Oh right, okay, yeah, so, right. How about that?
And they got their hands in basically every instrument category, as far as I can tell. And I should say that's just the number that's like been publicly reported. It may not be exactly 1,000. I don't know. It could be, even if it's 600, it's still a lot.
Well,
of people,
for sure. Yeah, totally.
That's a big operation, and you never hear reports of them like the guitar string sales are just going down, down, down. No one ever says that. They're doing fine. Ernie Ball's doing fine. They're selling strings.
Totally. Well, and guitars, the stuff that they've had coming out recently has been fantastic, but it's a rising tide a rising tide raises all boats. Is that the saying? High tide raises all boats.
That's what they say. Rising tide,
something like that. Yeah, that's the saying. Yeah, that's the metaphor. So it's everything's great. Like, it's a cool time to be in this industry. That's certainly what I think anyway. And I tell you what, NAMM's around the corner. How exciting is that, man? Honestly,
I'm so excited for this year. Like last year, I mean, I've always been excited. I was super, super excited the first year because obviously I'd never been. And then the last two, I was excited, but for some reason this year, I think it's because almost everybody I talk to is going.
Yeah,
I think that's part of it. Like not everyone, but a good percentage of the guys I talk to are going, where usually it's kind of 50-50.
Yeah.
And so I'm super jazzed about this year just to see everybody. And I know that like there's some people planning some really cool stuff. And I'm just I haven't been this excited, I think, since my first year. I'm so
I mean, this is only year 2 for me. So last year was my first, and I'm so looking forward to it. I think the stuff that Fender's got coming out that I've had to sit on for months. Like I'm privy to a lot of stuff that comes out and that's coming out. Stuff like,
no way.
oh yes. So, but yeah, like the stuff that I'm actually going to be able to talk about in 2 weeks. I can talk about this stuff that I've been excited about for like a year. I can actually start talking about it in 2 weeks time. But it's not just that, some of the teasers and little tidbits that have been dropped. Like, I'm really excited to see what Strymon are about to do, because they've got an announcement tomorrow, I think. Sorry to break the fourth wall with regards to timing. But
I think it will be announced by the time this comes out, basically. So
yeah, okay. So I'm excited to find out what that is. And Earthquaker said that they've got something that they think is going to be amazing. And I'm hoping that Game Changer do something cool, because the last couple of years they've really been a bit of a showstopper. I tell you that the thing that I'm really hoping for, and I've mentioned this on Guitar Nerds a bunch, but I really hope we see something with the T-Rex Echolec. Because they bought the rights to the Echolec, and they basically have they did the Replicator, which is their tape delay, 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I guess. And they've bought the rights to the Echolec name, and they're going to make a make a Bentayga rec, essentially. And they teased it maybe a year and a half ago, maybe. And yeah, they then just said, look, sorry, it's just not ready yet. I'm really sorry. So I'm keen to see that and all the other stuff that just is going to jump out at us that we're not expecting. And I'm sure you know loads of stuff that you also really excited about that you can't tell anyone about yet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm such. I like
how you almost said no there. I like how you almost for a minute kept up this. No, I don't know. Talking about Jay. No, nothing, mate. No, not me.
Not me. I don't know. I find myself in this really weird position where, like I talk to guys on the podcast, and then we'll talk obviously before or after or whatever, like you've just done, and it'll be like, okay, man, I got to tell you about something. And I'm like, oh, tell me. And then they tell me, and then I'm like, oh, that's so exciting. And then I'm like, I have to live with this.
Yeah.
And I can't. It's so cool. But at the same time, I find myself like accidentally almost telling people things occasionally. I never have, actually. I'll be like, oh, yeah, that's just like this thing.
Yeah.
Never mind. It's not like anything. I don't know what you're talking about.
No.
And so it's weird, and then I'll get tagged in stuff where people will be like, I bet Blake knows, and I'll look and be like, yeah, I do. And I'm not gonna say anything. And like, I don't know everything about everybody. Like, I certainly don't know what this Earthquaker thing is or the Strymon thing is, but I want to talk about this Earthquaker thing, which will be kind of funny because it'll have been announced by the time this comes out.
Yeah.
So this will be a weird look back. But I think so. I just, I'm putting the clues together. They keep talking about how it's not going to be cables. Like the cables are bad and they're unnecessary and problematic. And they do it with a tongue-in-cheek way that they do everything. And so I'm like, okay, are they going to do some sort of like weird like pedal board system, a wireless unit? What is it going to be? And then today they showed a picture of a bunch of little boxes that were like pedal sized, cardboard boxes. So like it is a unit of some sort.
Interesting. I didn't see that. Okay.
Yeah.
That is very see, I had it in my head that it was going to be some sort of switching system. That's what I am kind of expecting. So I've just whilst we were talking there, I've just gone on their Instagram. It can't be a switching system. It's not big enough.
Right, that's the thing. It's in what appears to be a standard size Earthquaker pedal box. I mean, I don't mean the enclosure like that you could see. I'm saying it's just the cardboard packaging is all we're seeing right now.
Yeah. Huh.
So
I wonder what it's going to be.
I don't know. It would seem so out of character for them to do some sort of utility product like that, but that's what all the teasing has been.
Yeah, but then I've no idea. Maybe it's like, maybe it's some like Nikola Tesla stuff. Maybe they've harnessed wireless charging. Maybe it's wireless power for their pedals. Imagine if it is. I can't imagine that is what it is, but it's I don't know. I guess utility pedal. I'm very into pedal board management. Pedal board management solutions is absolutely my jam. I love that stuff. And if it's something like that, that would be very cool. Very, very cool. Who knows? And this Strymon thing as well. I saw an article today where people saying this is it. Helix is dead. It's going to be the new Strymon thing. That's what's up. And it's like, mate, come on. Nobody knows what this is. Like, what are you saying? Helix is dead. It's I don't know. I'm very excited to see what's going on, and I still have it in my head that Moog are going to come out with a bunch of new Mooga Fuga pedals because they discontinued everything this year. And I don't know if you've been paying attention, but I tell you what, the price on all those old Mooga Fugas has been rocketing on the second-hand market.
Huge.
So I can't imagine that they would have done that without the idea that they were going to release some new ones. So I reckon there's going to be some, and it's been a while since Moog have released any kind of guitar-y stuff. Over the last couple of years, they've done a lot of kind of more the big analog synths, but also some of the smaller stuff that regular people who don't have $55,000 to go and spend on a new wall for their house which essentially is what it will become. You know, they've made a load of smaller stuff, but it's been a while since they've done anything guitar-y, so I would be surprised if there isn't a cool guitar-y announcement from Moog. That's something that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see. I was kind of bummed to see those go away, but at the same time, like, I kind of understand it. Like, they are extremely large, and they all do one thing. They sounded really easy,
Yeah, totally.
but
Yeah.
And they're expensive for a guitar pedal. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're phenomenally expensive. Phenomenally expensive. Well, actually, we used to sell those when I was at GAC as well. And yeah, I mean, it was, you know, £400 for a pedal when nothing cost that much money. There was nothing that cost that sort of money. So it was, but you know, it's high quality stuff. So it's, yeah, I'm really excited. I'm very excited for NAMM, and I feel like I've got a lot more friends going this year as well. And I kind of get it a bit more because it was my first year. I was there for work, and I'm there for work as well this year. So if anyone's listening and you dropping by the Fender booth, I will probably be there. So my job, I didn't really touch on that actually. My job now is I'm kind of in charge of accessories, which includes what falls under the general bracket of accessories, which essentially is anything that isn't a guitar or an amp. So all strings, gig bags, all plectrums and cables, and most excitingly, of course, all effects pedals. So I will probably be on the booth. So if anybody wants a rundown of the cool effects pedals, then they can come and talk to me. And Blake, I've of course offering that to everyone except for you, because you know you've got your own contact there. You can take care of yourself, I think, right?
yeah, fine. I'm not going to talk to you at all. I'm just going to completely ignore you, and you're also not invited to come eat pizza.
I couldn't make it. I couldn't make it last year. I had to work. I was gutted. I was absolutely gutted. Like, because I think did Mark, Matty, and Joe went. I think, but yeah, I couldn't come out. I couldn't come and hang out. I was really gutted. So I'm hoping that I will. But I also, you know, I have actual responsibilities in terms of I am there for work. So I will be. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'd really love to come and hang out, but we'll have to see what goes on.
Hey, you got to eat lunch regardless, and we are trying really hard to keep it at the show. That's been a hang up for a lot of people. Is like, oh, I don't want to leave the show. I can't leave my booth that long.
Sure.
It's like, oh, we're gonna try to do it on premises, and I've already expressed my frustration to you about that, but we're working through it. I think it's gonna happen. Good. I'm very determined.
Good.
So
otherwise, I guess we just you just roll the dice and we all descend on somebody's booth. You know, let's just all descend on the on who's going to be there, who absolutely won't appreciate us all descending on their booth. Someone downstairs in one of the corners, like one of those people that just makes like artisan straps. Let's go and hang out by their booth and eat pizza downstairs in the at the artisan strap booth. And they'll be like, "What is going on? Do you people care about artisan straps?" And we'll say, "No, we do care about pizza, though, pal. So you know, can I sit on that chair? Is that all right? Yeah, okay, thanks, mate. Cheers."
Right. Yeah, we could do that. No, I know where you need to go. You need to go to, we'll take over the booth of one of those pedal companies that are basically Joyo, but they're not Joyo.
Yes.
And there's like 37 of the exact same pedal company that I don't know why they're there, because there's no one at their booth, but they all selling the same pedals. I don't understand what's going on there.
The thing that really blew my mind when I first went downstairs into the belly of NAMM was I saw loads of companies selling the same all-in-one PA system. It was like an all-in-one system that had like disco lights and it was just like there was maybe 6 or 7 companies that had the exact same product, and it was just like, do you want to come and check this out? And it's like, well, no, but thanks. It looks great, pal. It looks really, really good. Maybe could you get it in sync with the fella over there? That'd be cool. But yeah, it's some of the stuff there is just wild. It's really, really wild. So I feel really bad. You know what I feel like right now is like 3 years ago when I was listening to guitar podcasts and when I was like watching people on YouTube talking about how excited they were to go to NAMM, and I was like, great, you know what I'm going to be doing? I'm going to be going to work in the rain because it's January and I live in the UK, so that's what I'm going to be. So I feel like I'm just one of these people who's just really talking up something. I feel very bad, so I'm sorry for people who aren't going, but it's wicked. Try and go next year. Really cool.
Yeah, definitely try to go. Schedule a day off. It's worth it. It's worth it. And you know, some people like are like, NAMM, NAMM, and I totally get that feeling where it's like, ugh. But at the same time, I feel like if you are a hyper gear nerd, like most people who would be listening to this, then you owe it to yourself to experience
for sure.
it just one time at least.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that way, and you can kind of form your own opinion. Obviously, I'm really glad that I would have been very confused if I never went to NAMM. And just hearing about it, like when you're entrenched in the gear culture, you constantly hear about Winter NAMM and how crazy it is, but you don't really understand what that means until you're there.
No, it's utter chaos. It's utter chaos, and like you really do have to find the time to come up for air. You know, take a step outside and remember that you're in California and it's sunny and it's, you know, you're only wearing a t-shirt and it's beautiful to just sort of breathe in the air. I think it's important to do that and take a minute for yourself every now and again. And that's something that I struggled with the first couple of days because I was busy and I had lots of work to do. But when I wasn't working, I wanted to see stuff. And you've just got to make sure that you take time for yourself to realize that, yeah, it's cool, but like, you know, drink some water, stay hydrated because it's easy not to when you're there, you know?
Even if it is the weird tasting Anaheim water.
Oh no. I mean, I'm not going to drink anything out of the tap. I'm not drinking out of the tap. I'm drinking sparkling water, my friend. I'm from the UK, don't you know? We have these streams that just run through bubbling, and that's how I get my water.
You just dip your ladle into that stream.
Right, yeah, I dip it. Actually, that's not true at all. I live on the south coast, and at the bottom, I do actually live literally on the coast. My house is about I don't know 200 meters from the beach. But that sounds very romantic, but actually there's a cement factory in between me and the beach. So it's a very industrial beach. So I can't unfortunately dip my ladle into the sweet stream and drink deeply. I have to use a faucet like everyone else, you know.
I'm just like that image of you doing that is really hilarious to me for some reason. And like I just see this very satisfied look on your face while you're drinking out of the ladle.
What an impractical utensil to drink out of as well. You know, you gotta lift that so high, and it's so like that bucket's just gonna dump it all over you. Awful.
You gotta dip it, and then you gotta choke up on the handle a ways. Otherwise, you're just not like my arms are short. I don't even know if I could lift it high enough. I'd have to choke up on it in order to consume out of the ladle. But I mean, I'm like you though. I mean, honestly, now for all of us, just gushing over how fun NAMM is, I do have to say, I don't know what's wrong with Anaheim's
I don't know.
water.
I honestly, I don't know.
Or if
really,
it tastes really weird. I mean, I should say,
yeah. I mean, you live in like
a
woodland paradise. You know, you're not representative of the everyday American person. You live in Twin Peaks, mate. You live in this weird. I mean, that's what I assume. That's what I assume. I mean, your neighborhood's like.
It is so it's not. It's definitely like a typical suburban area that I live in, but the Twin Peaks vibe is not like. I mean, I could drive 10 minutes to or not even 10 minutes. I could drive like 5 minutes and be in a very wooded area just like that. I'm very close to like the mountains and the country, but I'm not in the country per se. I'm definitely in a city, but very, very close to the country if I should choose to. drive that way. And it is awesome. I like getting out and just getting out of the concrete jungle, so to speak, and not really even doing anything.
Yeah,
Just like,
yeah,
I am driving through the woods now. This is nice.
yeah, yeah.
But you're right. The water here is probably a lot better than it is in other places. But yeah, Anaheim. I don't know. What the UK? I don't remember your water being bad. Of course, I wasn't in Brighton. I was in London, but I remember thinking it was good.
Yeah, I mean, you can drink out of the taps here. We would call it we call them taps.
Mm-hmm.
You know that, right? You know that we call faucets taps. Okay, fine. We drink out the taps here. The water where I live tastes a little bit weird, but the rest of I've lived all over Brighton. I've lived in Brighton for 10 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we? 2019. Yeah, 10, 11 years, and I've no longer than that. 2006 I moved here, but anyway, I've lived all over Brighton, and this is the worst tasting water that I've ever had is in the place that I live here. But it's fine. It is what it is. I'm sure it's not going to kill me.
I don't know.
I'm fairly hardy, I think.
But I don't know. I feel like if you lived all over Brighton and this one particular house has weird water, you might want to check on that.
Nah, I like to live life on the edge, mate. I like to taste that stagnant, stale water. It's what gives me a reason to get up every morning. You know. I made it another day without dying drinking this water. Fantastic.
I feel like that's you're a bit of a masochist, but that's okay. That's totally fine. Well, we are getting down to the last couple minutes here. And
oh my gosh, we've just blitzed through.
Oh, I know. It's so weird. I mean, this never, like, I don't know about for every guest, but for me, every time I record, I'm like, oh, it's over now. Like,
yeah.
I guess it's time to go. But
well, it's been great hanging out for 57 minutes and literally no longer, because we started recording as soon as I got on the call. That's nothing happened before.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, but for this last couple of minutes, what do you want to tell people? And a lot of people will use this for a plug, which is totally fine. But is there anything that's just on your mind that you're wanting to tell the masses?
Wow, that is I don't know really. I mean, we were talking about this. We were talking about this a little bit before, just about how like everything's really good right now for me. Like it's very weird. It's very weird. I feel very good. And you were saying the same thing. Like life is, obviously you've had a nightmare setback in 2018, but like other than that, things are good, and it's wild. I find Guitar Nerds is a very interesting thing, because when we started Guitar Nerds, I was in like a very bad place. Like I was very depressed. I was doing therapy. Everything was very difficult. And as I've moved on, and as I've like that's been like the podcast has been like a real anchor point for me, and it's like it's always been there. And I think about my life through different stages, and like things now are just unbelievable. I'm really happy. I've got a great life. I've got a great job, and I've got a great girlfriend, and life's awesome. And I just if you're going through stuff, it gets better. Like it's okay. Like. And yeah, I don't know. I don't really have anything. I don't have anything to plug for sure. Just like all I would say is life is okay and things get better. So if you're having a hard time, it's cool. It's fine. Like you can work through it. And yeah, that's I guess that's my words of wisdom. Is therapy is good if you need it, and like I would always recommend it to absolutely anybody. So I don't know. That probably isn't what you were hoping that I was going to say, but that's what I've got for you.
I actually do like that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? That's actually kind of more what I'm looking for when I ask that question. And maybe I'm not phrasing it very well in a way that people feel comfortable saying something like that. But that's really what I'm looking for. Is like, what is, what's on your mind? Like people don't always get a chance to just tell a bunch of people something they think is important. And I thought if you haven't checked it out, Julie from Earthquaker had a very, nice message that she put on there, and that's really kind of what I'm looking for. Maybe I need to like phrase the question a little differently so people actually kind of
I think it's difficult though, because it is it's very difficult to be vulnerable and very difficult to be open. You know, I think we spend a lot of our time, and when I say we, I kind of mean, I guess to a certain degree, you and I in this. You know, we both have characters that we play on the internet and on the podcast. You know, not to say that I'm not who I am, but you know, that we kind of hide behind this sort of public perception of ourselves, and I think it is very difficult to be vulnerable and open. And you know, I learned a lot of that through just talking to people and being open. And I think that's a really, really important thing to be able to do that, to be able to talk and to be able to be your like real true self. So like, but yeah, like once you are able to push through that, you see life's really cool, man. Like it's cool to like what a weird situation we found ourselves in. You know, imagine the chances of us being in a position, like how many weird coincidences had to pull off for us to be having this conversation right now. Do you know what I mean? And like, it's, yeah, things are good. Things are cool. Yeah, the butterfly effects and stuff, you know?
When you start thinking about like that, like, yeah. And like, I mean, I can, you know, look back and see some of the paths that have led to even, you know, just this conversation. And I don't care what anybody says. Conversations are important, and whether they're recorded or whether they're not, sometimes you just got to talk to people. So I'm kind of echoing what you just said.
Blake, you're a great conversationalist. You're a fantastic conversationalist, and obviously I've experienced. We hung out for like a minute at NAMM last year, and you know we talk infrequently on the internet. But whenever I listen to the Tone Mob, I'm always like, this is great. Just listening to Blake like hang out with a pal, and even just like the last, I don't know, 3 hours or something we've been talking now, it's just flown by. Like you're a great conversationalist, and it's been an honor to be able to be invited onto this and to hang out with you for that time.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. You know, usually my family phrases it a little differently. They usually say something along the lines of "you talk too much." So I mean, it's nice to get a different perspective on it.
Yeah, I mean, I get that as well. So maybe we're the blinkered ones, you know.
That could be the whatever, you know. And then there again, there's someone for everyone. We found each other.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
That's just what we needed. All right, man. Well, if you got anything else, I'm gonna hit you with the big one. If you don't got anything else.
No. I think I'm ready for the big one.
Okay. I've realized how many. Just as a random side note. This podcast has really made me realize how much of a redneck I talk like. I was just like, "Do you got anything else?" Like I say things like that all the time, even though I know that that's not how I should be talking. I can't help it. I
mean, yeah, I didn't. That wasn't the vibe that I was getting from you at all. And you know, I've got a very weird talking voice, and I don't really know where it's come from. Like my parents don't talk like this. I think this is a something I've constructed for myself. I don't know, but I can't do anything about it. And yeah, I think that so my girlfriend is from Philadelphia, and she moved here like 3 years ago. And I think when she moved here, I really ended up properly accentuating my accent because, you know, to annoy her as much as anything else. It's just it's a really, really exciting thing to do. But yeah, I didn't notice any redneck vibes. That's not what I get from you. I'm telling you, it's weird Twin Peaks vibes. That's what I get from you. I'm worried that you're gonna yeah, I don't even know, man. That's the concern. That's why we didn't hang out for very long IRL. There was going to be some weird stuff going on.
I mean, there's definitely going to be some weird stuff going on. If I'm involved. Let's just say. I mean, like, it's not going to be a normal time if I am there.
No, of course,
simply
the
way it is.
Yeah.
So your weirdo meter is working.
Good.
It's
good.
Like you picked that up right away.
Weirdometer, we call it over here, actually.
A weirdometer.
Yeah.
That actually is probably actually what it's called over here too. There again, redneck stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, it just is. It is what it is, y'all. But J Cross, I gotta know before we shut this down. What kind of pizza do you like?
See, I've got quite a low bar for pizza, and the reason for that is because I I'm vegan, and I've had a lot of bad pizza. To be completely honest with you, I've had a lot of bad pizza, because usually if we go somewhere, I have to just get a pizza with no cheese, and it's like, okay, fine, whatever. But let me tell you, because of that, whenever I go somewhere where I can get vegan cheese, there is nothing that I appreciate more than a really, really nice margarita, which I appreciate is extremely boring to a lot of people, but just the art of the margarita, really. I think is so important. Just being able to make something that tastes good as plain as that, man, there's nothing that beats it. There's a couple of places here in Brighton that do that actually over the last couple of years there's a bunch more have opened up that do vegan cheese. But there's this one place called Pizza Me, which is just, you can buy a 24-inch pizza. No, not 24, 18. You can buy an 18-inch pizza. And if I get an 18-inch margarita, it's the same price as quite often if I'm eating a Pizza Me, I'm with Mark Packham, and he'll get some like flirty thing. I don't know, something with like olives and artichokes and I don't know, some sort of locally felled game meat or something. I don't know. And but like I can get an 18-inch margarita for the price that he gets a 12-inch flirt pizza. And oh man, I love a margarita so much. As long as it like, if you can do that well, you can do anything. But I really appreciate the art of a real nice margarita. So, but that said, I'm also I because of not eating cheese, I've really come to appreciate like marinaras or like tomato pie. I think just it can be good, but often it is not. So when it's good, it's really good. But yeah, like I say, I've got a very low bar for pizza. So which is unfortunately one of the pitfalls that you have to face when you have got a weird diet like I do. So it's but yeah, good old margarita. That's for me. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. That's a good answer. I like it. Well, I feel like that's as good of a note to wrap up on as any. So for Jay, this is Blake. And as always, folks, good luck and good tones. There you have it. There's another one down for you. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And seriously, go check out the Guitar Nerds podcast if you have not already. It's I'd be surprised if you haven't, honestly. If you're listening to Tone Mob, you're probably listening to Guitar Nerds too. But if you haven't, make sure you slide over and check them out wherever you check out podcasts. They're going to be there. And if you want more of this particular conversation, there's a whole nother hour on Patreon. Jay and I did a whole nother hour of conversation just for the Patreon folks. So if you can go over there to patreon.com/tonemob. That still trips me up once in a while. Patreon.com/tonemob. And for $5 a month, you can get extra episodes every week right to your ears. So if this tone mobbery is something that you appreciate and enjoy, that A, helps support the show and keep the thing going, and B, gives you extra content. And in this case, a whole extra episode, like a whole hour. So make sure you slide over there to check that out. Jay and I talk about a whole bunch of stuff, and it's a lot of fun, and you can find out everything you need to at patreon.com/tonemob. That's it. Thank you very much for listening. I really, really appreciate it. Couldn't do it without you guys and tuning in, and I don't know. It still blows me away sometimes. I am eternally grateful. And if you could share this with just one friend, you'd share it with somebody who likes nerdy stuff somewhere in one of your favorite guitar forums, I would love that. So as always, thank you very much, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.
One last thing before we totally sign off here, I just want to remind you that if you do any shopping at Stringjoy, that's Stringjoy guitar strings made in Nashville, that will help me out as well. As I've said for years, I'm heavily involved in that company, and I really do think they're making the best products on the market. So if you would like to try custom strings, go to tonemob.com/stringjoy and check them out today. I seriously love what the team down there is doing. I help them out with all kinds of things, and by you supporting them, you are also supporting me as well. And hey, you need some strings, so why not get some custom strings just for your guitar and playing style? Again, the link for that is tonemob.com/stringjoy, and that will take you right to their website, and you can do all your shopping through there, and that will help everyone involved out. So thank you very much. Talk to you next time. We are brought to you by the wonderful folks at Gun Street Wiring Shop. Yes, Gun Street Wiring Shop. I've talked about them before. I used to say based out of Bend, Oregon, but guess what? Sean moved to my neck of the woods. Sean's in Portland. Sean is awesome and has helped me with a bunch of stuff lately. And if you have wiring needs for your guitar, he can help you too. If you want to get weird with it, he can get weird. If you just need to spruce things up a little bit, there's your guy. He takes all the guesswork out of doing your guitar wiring, and he makes it simple, and his customer service is top-notch, and I can't say enough good things about Gun Street as a company. I really respect Sean and what he's all about, and the product is top-notch. I've got 3 different guitars that now have Gun Street harnesses in them, and I could not be happier. So go to gunstreetwiringshop.com and check them out.